Okay, so I'm going to show you how to use some of the new features in Motion Studio to kind of run this little Lego contraption that I built here. So the first thing is that's kind of neat is that the arm itself has these mounting holes right here that you can mount onto a 3M screws or anything similar and kind of put it in and twist mount it onto any surface like that. It can be freestanding as well, but you can also slide in Lego studs, and they kind of pressure fit in perfectly. And then you can just mount it onto any sort of Lego contraption that way. There we go. And build something around it. So, you know, if the arm moves, the whole thing moves and it can stay still. So that's kind of cool. So how this contraption works is we've got a little block that we move around. So it might pick it up and put it on this conveyor and then run it down the conveyor, and it'll go down this chute down to here, and then the arm can pick it up from here and kind of run it through the conveyor again. Okay, so that's our goal, is to build a recording that can kind of run this contraption. So in Motion Studio, we're going to be showing a bunch of features to pull this off. Now this is all very fine movement, so we'll be doing rough edits and then touching them up, like making sure all the positions are just right and adjusting them as we go. Okay, so this one we'll start with is picking this one up and putting it over here. So this would be a pick and place. So we could just start with like pick and place recording like this, and it'll start beeping at you, and what it's kind of doing is waiting for you to stop, kind of pause for a moment, and you'll hear that beeping, and that means it's kind of recorded your position. So you just kind of hover over each position you want to do. And it'll record it as you go. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so we can see in here, kind of, you know, comes over here, picks something up, and then brings it over here and drops it. So this is kind of good. We can kind of play this back and see what we're at. You can see it dips down too far there, and it kind of rubs on here a little bit. So we have a gross recording that works pretty good, right? But we definitely need to clean it up a bit. So let's see what we can do. So what you can do is you can scrub through on your recording. You can scrub through on your recording to maybe the spot where it sort of misses. So that's kind of a little bit off, and you can see on here where it's at. So it's just past pose 3. So this pose 2 is kind of this positioning that's probably want to adjust. So in order to hop to the actual endpoint of the poses, you can click the little yellow square, and it'll jump to that spot, and it'll put a little marker that means that this position can now be updated, and that corresponds to this little target marker over here, which you can push to update the position of that. Okay, so another thing is that when you click on those markers, it'll move to that position. The green light will flash, and it'll hold that position with the motors on for a certain period of time, and then it'll stop. And sometimes that's what you want, and sometimes you want to keep the motors on so you can kind of fine tune and position things. So to keep the motors on, you can turn this on here, and then when we go to our position, this will keep motors on. the light turns blue, and the motors just stay on. So now you know while you're working, you're keeping your motors on, and you can make adjustments and whatnot. So what we'll want to do on this is, looks like we need to kind of be up a little bit. So this up a little bit. We want to be up and over it. And it looks like we want to kind of about right there. Okay, so update the position. Great. So we could go through and update our other positions. This one and kind of move it over and up a little bit, or I'm going to and kind of tune them all up. But instead, what I'm going to do is show you a different feature. So what you can do is you can move from this position and start inserting keyframes as you go. So let's say we like this position, and then the next one we're going to do is just open the jaw up, right? That's probably good like that. And then we kind of want to scoot it over a little bit. So we can do that. And like when you're using the finger, sometimes it's kind of hard to get the positioning just right. So what you can do is slide your finger out and cantilever your position, and it's much more fine tuning. See, now I have a lot of control over that angle, and I can get it just right. Using a mouse, you don't have this problem, but with your finger, sometimes you do. So that's a trick you can use. Okay. So the jaws are open. I'm going to insert now, insert with the plus a new position. Okay. So just inserted that pose. Okay. So now we're going to lower this guy, and I kind of missed. That's okay. We'll just sort of straighten out this arm, lower this a little bit, and see, I'm having trouble again, so I'll slide my finger out and I'll get more control. There we go. And then on this one, I'm going to bring this down. That's better. There we go. That looks good. Okay, so we'll insert that pose. Close the jaw. Now the nice thing about updating these is I can tighten the jaw. When I recorded it, it probably only tightened it to the size of the block. But now when I do these update frames, I can tighten it all the way and put a lot of pressure, on that block. So I know it's gonna pick up well. Okay, that position. And now we'll start lifting this guy up. Maybe angle down a little bit. Good, like that. Okay, now somewhere at this point, we probably just want to jump back into the rest of our recordings. So we don't want to recreate everything. So what we see here is a bunch of these poses. It says current pose 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the new ones that we inserted as we went. And then it continues on with 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are original keyframes. Some of these we want to delete. It's the old one of it picking it up. And then we just want to pick up where we left off. So we can just we could scrub through here and find it, or we could just kind of click on these. Obviously, it's past that. Not this one. It is. Okay, so we want to jump to this one. So what we can do is just select all these other poses that we don't want, just in a group, and we can delete the whole group like that. There we go. So now we should have replaced basically our pickup pose with this new collection of them that we did. And now we're at this position here. And then the next step is it should go over here. And again, we probably want to update this position a little bit. So we'll just bring this up. And again, swing out the arm. And we should probably have this gripper a little more There, I like that. And again, the next pose is probably in the wrong spot. So I'm going to just do a replacement on that one. So I'll just, for this one, I'll just open up the jaw and maybe a little more. And just swing the arm just slightly this way. I mean, hopefully it won't throw it, but I mean, maybe that'd be cool. But sometimes it helps just to get it to drop nicely. And we'll have to insert that pose. And now we know we need to delete this one. Delete that one. And let's see where we left off. Okay, so this one pulls back like that. And back to this position. Okay, so that's pretty good. We now want to see where we're at. Okay, so we can go ahead and play this, or you can push the knob on the, on this to play as well. You can also like scrub through your knob, so you could find the spots that you're looking for just through scrubbing. But we'll go ahead and put this back, and we'll see how we're doing. All right, so that looks great. So when we're all done, we just save this, and we have this recorded. Now, I probably want to create a folder to put all these in. So we'll create a new folder, and you can just double tap or hit enter or whatever, and you can edit these guys. I'll call this contraption. So something, edit this contraption. And we want to take this one. I mean, we could select a group or whatever, but we just want to take this one and move it in here. Oh, doesn't like it. Maybe it'll work. There we go. It works with the mouse. I'll have to get it to work with their finger. And then hop in here. So now we're inside this folder. We can put all of our recordings in here. We'll give this the name of like start pickup or something. Start pickup. Okay. So now we're ready to create a recording for this crank. So we probably want to start in a known position. So maybe we'll start with it being upwards, right? Maybe we'll crank it around and leave it upwards. So when it grabs it again, it'll always be upwards. So we have a couple of different options of how to do this recording. We could do keyframes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. It might be tricky. It also, like, I played with this for a little bit and found like sometimes you need to kind of pull it in directions, kind of yank it all the way around a little bit to figure it out. So we're going to do a real-time recording. That's probably the most obvious thing to do. So we'll turn off our motors, and we will start with that. Okay, so we'll do a real-time recording, and we'll just record doing this. Squeeze, and we go around. Now it looks like we got to go around twice, and we want to stop up top, unsqueeze, something like that. Okay. So here we have our recording. You can see, roughly see what we're doing. You can see the loop down below right here. Here's our loop. It's pretty scratchy looking, but you never know. Maybe that will work. Let's just play that back. It actually gets the handle. Doesn't quite. So there's some subtleties there to get just right. It actually grabs the handle pretty good. So part of this recording is good. Probably need to update some of the subtleties as it goes around. We could, there's a couple options. We could come into this recording and kind of tweak it and fix it up. But I want to show you a different feature here. I want to show you another option. So in real-time recording, you can actually record while the motors are on and then move your robot from the interface. And so the advantage of doing that is using this inverse kinematic gizmo here. So with this, we can move our robot in coordinate space. So, for example, this red one is moving it left and right, but it's moving all the motors to make sure that it's moving it in a grid sort of fashion. Same with the up and down, right? Forward and back, and it also can do it in 2 dimensions. This little square right there. So if you grab that, you can see you can move it around pretty well. So that's kind of the motion we want to duplicate. So what we could do is have the servos on and do that sort of motion to see if we could move it around. So let's try it and see how that works. So we're going to turn on our motors, keep them on, and we're going to get it. Maybe we'll just start with a grab here. It's probably the easiest thing. And we'll probably cinch the gripper real tight on it. That's good. And even before we record, let's see how well this works. We can probably even do this with our finger. And, didn't quite work that time. Let's try that again. No, not quite. Might have to scoot it back. Yes. Just scoot this. There. There we go. All right. We got a pretty good motion going on. Okay, so that's what we want to record. So let's just record that and get that going. 2 rotations. And open up the jaw. Oh, that'll. Okay. Okay, so let's see how this. Okay. So you can see to actually get it to pull like that, it's actually pulling pretty high. We may need that, we may not, I don't know. Then I struggle here opening up the jaw. Takes a while. There we go. So obviously, maybe let's say we like that jaw opening up. We could keep this recording, but maybe we don't like all the pauses in here. So we could remove all the wait times. So before I do, I'm going to make a copy of this one so we can kind of fiddle around. So you can make a copy. Here's our copy recording. And on this one, I'll remove the wait. Play this one. And you can kind of see it should open up that jaw a lot quicker at the end. There it goes. Okay. So we could do something like that. Maybe that'll work. I don't know. Any edits you make here aren't saved. So if I were to change to a different recording, this would revert back to how it was. If I click the save button, then that change to have the all the wait times removed are now saved inside this copy of the recording that we made. Okay, so we might start with that one and see if this will work for us. So we need some movements that move towards here go towards it and grab it, and then begin that recording. Okay, so maybe we'll actually work backwards on this. So it gives you a transition into the recording by default. This transition point is the start of this recording. If I were to click on the recording itself, it will move to the start of that recording by itself. Okay, so and then if I were to click on the transition point, it's also the same point as the start of this. So what that means is what it does is it takes the arm from any position that it's in and moves to that location, basically. And then it will move on to the next and play that recording of it going around and around. Now, this may work where it's a little higher than it. We'll see. If not, we can actually hop into this recording and kind of adjust that a little bit. But let's start with this and see how it works. So this transition, this will be our ending point, right? Before that, we want something with the gripper open. Keep our motors on. We want something with the gripper to stay open. Okay. Maybe not that much. Oh, let's get back to our position. Maybe like that. Okay. Insert this. Pose. And we're actually going to, we want this to come first so we can drag and drop. Well, you can do it with a mouse. Let's see if I can fix that. Okay, so we moved it up. We're probably going to be recording backwards, so we'll probably be doing this along the way. Okay, so we're going to work backwards here. So here we're at this position. Now we're going to go back to, I can turn off the motors and just eyeball it like this. This position is probably our starting position. If we really cared, we could go into, we could do that. If we really cared and wanted to get the exact position, we could go into our pickup recording and pick this last position and use that one. Now it's in that position. I could go back here and I could insert this. Another technique is that you can actually take this position here and you can drag and drop it into the other recording. So here I am, I'm gonna drop it into our recording here and I put it right at the end. And then I can take that and move it to the beginning. So that's, we know that's the exact position now, okay? So there's the start. It moves to this, it closes, and then it plays our recording that goes around and around, okay? Now we know this is a little high, so we gotta move this down. Let's do that. We'll just, I might be able to use this little gizmo here. Inverse kinematic gizmo. That's pretty good. And then pinch in to zoom in and back. That's probably actually really perfect. I might need to move it over a little bit. It's just that. Okay. And now let's do something where the gripper closes. And when I close the gripper, I probably want to move this over a little bit and then close the gripper so that it grabs it right in the right spot. So I'll just move this over there. And I'll grab this gripper. There we go. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, so I'll insert that. Okay, these, and then I guess transition. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. So the second rotation works, but the first didn't. That didn't that time it didn't quite grab it. There's definitely some touch-ups we need to do to get it to be consistent. So what we can do, it seems to grab it and then it kind of loses it right around here. So what we can do is adjust this recording. So we'll come in here and you can see the loop right here. You can see the loop that it goes around in this recording. So whenever you select one of these, it highlights that part of it. We see it going around and it looks pretty consistent, but we need to adjust the part right there, okay? So we can scrub to that part. So it's somewhere around here. And we know we need to adjust this. And looking at the recording, it looks like it's too far down. We probably need to bring it up. So, turn on my motors so that they stay on. And at this position in the recording, we can now adjust where the arm is. And here. And you know, pulling to this side is probably a good idea. I don't totally know, but I think it's a good idea. So let's try that. And then now, oops, I didn't. There we go. Now we're in edit mode. Update the position. Let me find it. Right about here. Okay. Bring this up. About there. Okay. And then I'll update this position. Oops, I inserted. Oh, kept my position. Okay, so I'm going to update. Okay, so what it'll do is it'll tug on the recording and push everything up. So everything after this will be basically moved. And everything before it will be blended, like a first half second or so will be blended to that new position. So if we did something more extreme, you would see what I mean. But it's helpful to kind of nudge and change recordings that way. So we could kind of make this bigger or smaller or whatever, kind of pull it in, push it out by scrubbing to the spot on the recording that we need to adjust. And then, so like right here, if it didn't go down far enough, again, we could just adjust our position. We could even use the inverse kinematic. And we could just move this down a little lower, like, and then maybe it needs to be moved out a little bit, like that. And then update to that position. And it would correct it for the whole recording. I keep forgetting to yeah, maybe that's the right spot now. And then update. See, and then you see that it tugs it downwards now into a bigger circle. It didn't do that before. So you can fix the recording that way. Okay, the last thing I wanted to show you with recordings you can do, and you can do this with positions as well, is you can slice them. So like on our recording at the very end, here I'll just scrub to kind of near the end here. it came around and then it kind of snaps open the arm really fast and the jaw really fast. Maybe we don't want that. So what we could do is just scrub to that spot. There it is right here. And we'll just scrub backwards until right before that point, right here. And then we can slice, so at that position that we're at, we can slice a recording. So now it's split it into two parts. And the second part is the one that the jaw opens up. So we don't really want that. We can just go like that. And then we could do our own recording at the end of it, you know, slowly opening up the jaw. I mean, we could do something nice. And then we want to go back to our 0 point, or we could just go back to this point, that point. We could just copy this one if we wanted to. We could click on this, make a copy, and move this copy to the end. There. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up this recording and get it just right, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so I cleaned up this recording a little bit, and now it seems to work pretty good. Goes around once, twice, and leaves it in the upward position. Great. Okay, so we have this, so we'll call this turn crank. And we made copies of these other ones. We can just delete them. Okay, so we have the pickup, we have a turn crank. Now we need to pick up it from here and probably put it back up at the top. Okay, so we could probably do the pick and place again. The idea with the pick and place, and I haven't implemented all the way yet, but it's like automatic position, except it will clean up the recording specifically for a pick and place action, and it'll be looking for it and name everything in here for a pick and place. So I'll just do a position recording for now. Just do this one. And on this one, to record a position, you actually have to push the button. So it's kind of nice if you want to just like get it right and make sure it's right before you record your position. So the first one, it records itself when you click the button. So in this one, we kind of need to come at a funky angle. So we'll kind of approach it maybe like this. Tricky to get in there. Almost need the motors on to hold it in place, huh? Let's see what this does. All right, so it didn't work right. No, I dropped it. Time to cut it. And double click to stop recording. Okay, see it coming down there, and then right spot. Good. See how we did? Actually, not bad. I actually did it pretty good. So we probably only need a little bit of touch up on this. So, first thing, well, one thing I wanted to point out is in the recording, is right here. It comes underneath. Well, it doesn't do too bad of a job. Because we recorded this point position right there. I'm going to jump to that. Looks like it's right here. So it pulls into this position, and it kind of barely gets around here. And then the next position, it's not too bad. What you can do is you can synchronize the motion. So what happens is when it's in this position, you can see it moves over and this thing moves down, and the motors move at whatever speed they move at. Instead, when you synchronize the positions, we're going to synchronize these three. This icon down here. When you synchronize the movement, then what happens is if a servo has to just move a little bit, and a different servo has to move a lot, normally it would be like this. It'd be like that. And instead, when you synchronize them, it'll linearize all the movements so that it'll synchronize moving both of them at the same speed, so they both finish at the same time, basically. So now with that in place, I'm going to scrub back to here and play that and see how much smoother that is, and doesn't have the dips and stuff like that in it. So we probably want to keep those synchronized. Now when you do synchronize movements, the speeds generally go down because everything matches to the speed of the slowest servo. So if you have a slow servo in there that's profiled really slow, that's part of that movement, then it'll move slower. So sometimes you got to bump up your speed a little bit if you want it to go faster, something like that. That's probably fine. So couple of places to do some touch-ups is it kind of drags right here. We'll move to that point. Right there, we probably want to just lift this up just a little bit. So we'll just guy up, easy, update, and this next position, I might want to move this up. There we go. Everything else kind of worked, so I don't really want to mess with it. I'll just save that, and we'll name this draw return. Okay, and we'll try these out. So we're going to assume all these work. We'll try them out we want to link all these together. Now we could make one recording by selecting all of these and dragging these into a single recording, and we could group them all together into one single recording. But we probably want to do some logic with the three of these. So we're going to switch over to Scratch and then create a simple recording or a simple sketch in Scratch to link all these together. So we'll hop into Scratch here. And going to turn on this so it runs in the background. It'll remember this. It'll remember this setting to always run in the background. And so now I can actually be in both places at once if we were to dock these two. Oh, we want to turn off our motors. And you can see, like, if we were to turn on these XYZ positions, and, you know, we can push play in here, and it would update in the other place at the same time. So they can both run at the same time. Okay. Mostly we don't need to worry about that. So in our scratch recording, we're going to do something simple. We're going to start by doing our in our folder contraptions start pickup. So we'll play that, and then we'll wait until it's done. And then we could do like a loop or something. We'll just do it one time. You don't want to watch it go 10 times. And we will play our turn crank and wait until that's done. Now the reason why you have wait until done is because you can actually play multiple recordings at once. And they don't blend together, but they override each other. So how this works, is in this recording, we might have done a recording. Let's say we wanted a recording of the arm moving back and forth was one, so it only really needs to use this bottom servo. Well, what happens is if you play that recording, it only activates the bottom servo, and all the other servos are free, or they're not even turned on. So then you could have another recording, let's say, that opens and closes the gripper. Then you could play them at the same time. It could be swinging back and forth and opening and closing the gripper. And those are independent things that you can play at the same time. So you can do stuff like that. The way to remove points on here that are recorded is you can click on one of these, and you can click on these keyframes, and it'll show you all the motors that are being used here. And if there was if you didn't want it to record a certain motor, like, that shoulder, then you can, or a bunch of them or whatever, you can remove those recordings, and so you can see now I only have like the hand and the gripper in this recording. And you can just do a whole selection of these if you needed to, the whole recording if you wanted to, and adjust it for everything in here. And so like now this entire recording is only it's not utilizing some of these servos. And so you could blend it with other recordings that way. So like I said, you can make different types of recordings that use different parts of servos and put them together that way. So that's what that is for. Let me switch back. Okay. So here we wait until done, and then we are going to play another. We're going to play the drop return. We're going to wait until that's done. And I don't know, maybe we'll put when the start is clicked, basically it would run. try ours. Oh, and we probably want to turn off some servos. Maybe we want to play something. Play some triumphant music. You can change these are just notes, and I can give you what you type in there. But basically, you can play a series of notes and rests, and you can play music. Okay, let's do this. Oh, hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay, so it's running. I want to stop it. So what I can do is click stop and servos off if I want to. Now the servos are free. I forgot. I gotta put the block here. And we gotta put the crank to the top. Okay, let's try it. There it goes. Oh, just barely missed it. Let's see how it does on the crank. Did good on the crank. We don't know how I'll do on this one. And our ending, triumphant music. Okay, so basically you get the idea. Now, if we wanted to change this, we could go right back into here, and it was this pickup, and we could test this. Oh, that time I got it. Okay, so we're gonna stop that. If we were to make some modifications to this, the moment we click save and hop back into Scratch, we would be good to go. It would resync and Scratch and everything. So let's just try that again. Now we're running it from Scratch. Well, for some reason I missed it again from Scratch. We'll just put it in there for now. We know it should work. Oh, it dropped in. Pretty good. So, and also in Scratch, you can save your files, save your project files, and there's a folder, a Mimic Scratch folder, where you can drop those files and you can reload them. So you can create as many of these as you want and load them up. All right, I got this working pretty good. Looks like. Fix it up. Drops it in. Turns the crank. And puts the block back up top. And keep going. So and then I just added one more recording. You can see I added one more playback here at the end to when it's all done. I guess I could loop it a bunch of times, but when it's all done, I can put it in my hand. Yay. There you go.